Hello there. Today's topic is I'm not sure how to express my needs in a healthy way. And I am just going to share this really quick with my group. And while I'm sharing this, maybe you can answer the question of, are you watching this live or are you watching a replay? Okay, here we go. Sharing, sharing, sharing. Okay. All right, here we go. So, the topic of the day, I'm not sure how to express my needs in a healthy way. I am Shauna White, heartfelt intimacy coach, helping people to master the art of relationship by integrating spiritual love and romantic love together. And uh, so, let me see here. Sorry, I'm getting oriented with my tech. Okay, so let me know if you're watching this live or if you're catching this on the replay. Please just put a comment. And the topic of the day is needs. How's it going expressing your needs? And a number of people in my Facebook group, who I affectionately refer to as my flock, have shared that they're not sure how to express their needs in a healthy way. And expressing needs is really important in the sense that relationships challenge us to solve the question of how do I honor myself and embrace my partner deeply into myself at the same time. And this is a beautiful quandary or a beautiful Zen koan to try to solve, to push ourselves to solve, because this pushes us to higher levels of what's possible as a human being. I want to say higher levels of spiritual attainment, but the word spiritual points to so many different things for so many different people. But the little self that we're familiar being walking around day to day doesn't know how to merge with another human being without losing that quality of self. And so the struggle that we have in relationship that makes us feel like something's not right with inside how I feel. I want to be with my partner, but I don't feel right inside. Or in order to feel right inside, I have to set a boundary. And now my partner is getting defensive or is getting distant. Like this push and pull between self and other challenges the comfort zone or the familiar. I don't want to say comfort zone because it's not all comfortable, but the familiar small I that we think that we are, and challenges us to stretch for the big, beautiful truth of who we are in the energy of love that we can connect to in the core of our being, which is our spiritual nature. That's what I'm referring to with that word. And so it's a beautiful thing, this struggle of how do I express my needs in a way that's healthy. It's really getting to the heart of the matter of how do I find my way out of the labyrinth of the things that I believe that I am that are not actually my true nature, the shoulds that I have buried in my subconscious, the wounds, the comfort zone that I've erected to counteract the ways in which I feel hurt deep down or I feel unworthy of love deep down. So this is a beautiful struggle. And I want to share that if you're asking this question and you're wrestling with this, that you are engaged in a very healthy and meaningful struggle for how to be your best self. And the key to unlocking your best self is to connect with the divine nature inside you. So let's talk a little bit about how this actually manifests for people. What does it sound like? What does it feel like? Because it comes up in a few different ways. So it could sound like, it could feel like something doesn't feel right, but talking about it feels forced or off somehow. So that's a place of feeling like, uh, there's something that I need to resolve, but I don't know how to resolve it. And um, I don't want to speak from a place that feels destructive, harmful, or clumsy or awkward. I'm looking for the space of grace in myself that I can feel right with what I'm saying to to address what feels off inside me in my relationship. That's a beautiful place to be, although it sucks, right? Sometimes it feels like I can't find the time that feels right to bring it up, which is another sort of trying to feel what feels right, but can't get it yet. Uh, Sometimes it feels like I feel confused about which things I feel I need are healthy versus controlling. And that makes a lot of sense because when we try to reconcile what doesn't feel right inside ourselves, um, sometimes we don't even notice that something doesn't feel right. And that's actually my next bullet point. So I have notes, so I make sure I do a good job for you. Sometimes I don't even notice that something feels not right to me until I'm already angry about it. I've totally had that experience for sure. Even in my current relationship, uh, things have gotten much more fine-tuned now. But I remember one particular incident where I got so angry. And when I reflected on how angry I felt and what I wanted to, I wanted to speak to my partner in anger. I was upset about, it was something to do with connecting intimately, but I don't remember it because it was a while ago. But I remember how kind of blindsided I was by getting angry because I didn't even know that something was not working for me, because I was being totally chill and being totally chill and being totally chill. Actually, I think it was a lack of communication. He was, I'm sorry, I don't remember it. I tried to remember it before I came on the video, but it didn't work. It's jogging my memory a little bit. But I went to a place of whatever it was, whether it was that he um, didn't respond to a question that I asked. That's something that's been in the past. And then again, didn't respond the second time I asked the question, and again, didn't respond. And I tried to be easygoing, and it wasn't even hard for me to be easygoing. That was just my automatic, like, okay, hey, whatever. I'm not trying to make waves here. I'm not trying to be controlling. I'm not trying to say, you have to answer my question. So I just seamlessly went to, okay, whatever. And then asked the same question, or maybe it was a different question, a few days later. And again, he didn't answer. And I was totally chill about it. And then after a while, I got really upset. I was like, how come you don't answer my questions? And it was interesting to go from like 0 to 90 in that, in the emotional center, and not even realize that something was off. So sometimes that's one of the ways that this manifests, is that we're too busy, so to speak, trying to show up the way that we think we should show up, or have decided we want to show up in the relationship. And we don't actually even notice that something is not sitting well. So that's one way that expressing our needs can go off the rails. Because I didn't even know there was something to express until I was already angry about it. Another way that this shows up is, I believe that there's a way to feel natural and good in myself and be deeply involved with my partner, but I haven't found how that works yet. I always run up against feeling pressured to please him, and like I can't fully relax into being myself. Um, So that's a place of like where, so I have had a people pleasing program in my subconscious that would just take over. And that's probably also a remnant of that led me to be chill about him not answering my question and not even notice that it wasn't working for me. Because so my people pleaser self would automatically run. I didn't even want it to be happening, but my subconscious would just automatically run. Okay, we're going to fit into what he wants. We're going to take our cues from him because that's how he's going to, that's what it takes to keep his love. And so I felt like I went into doormat mode because that was my subconscious's idea about how to make a loving relationship work, but it doesn't work because being in doormat mode doesn't feel right. And if you don't feel uh, joy in yourself, you don't feel at ease in yourself, it's really hard to be intimately connected. It's also really hard to unravel that kind of mud inside to find how to be connected. Like I have struggled with it for years in the past. And I remember just feeling like chronically self-conscious, even though I really loved being with the person that I was with at the time. Um, I just couldn't relax in my own skin because I was, part of me was too busy trying to take cues from him and figure out how I needed to fit into what he would like. Then there's the other side of it, which also happens at the same time, which is getting annoyed with some things that he does or doesn't do. And then I don't know how to be with that because I don't want to be controlling, right? So this struggle of how do I honor myself and how do I fully open to my partner so that I can fully embrace this beautiful experience, or theoretically, in theory, it's beautiful to be in an intimate partnership with somebody. But we have to resolve this issue of we don't want to be the doormat and we don't want to be the controller. We don't want to be controlling, right? So, um, so how, this is interesting. Usually I talk off the cuff, but I really wanted to get to all the points here. And so I am referring to notes, which is a little bit different. Let me ask you, do you relate to any of the things that I described? If any one of those feels like it's spot on for you, then let me know in the comments and just say needs struggle. Okay. So looking a little bit deeper at the problem, what do people do that gets them in trouble, right? So now we're looking at the mechanism of what causes why. So we've looked at the kind of the internal mechanism, but then the external mechanism of why is it that when we try to reconcile this, and we try to do that by talking with our partner, what goes wrong, right? So when we express our needs from this place of not having things sorted out inside, then we end up sharing with our partner not just the things that actually are present in the relationship, things that actually happened or things we're feeling in response to our partner and all that stuff, but we also end up sharing along with that things that have nothing to do with our partner or our relationship, excuse me. We end up sharing a mix of the stuff that's in our subconscious that has to do with our struggle with how to be our authentic self in a world that feels dangerous, that has wounded us many times, the shoulds that we have in our psyche, the wounds that we have in our psyche, the things we think we need to do to feel loved. All of these types of things are in our psyche in a subconscious way, and they put a perspective or a lens or an energy into how we express when something challenging comes up in our relationship, how we express that to our partner. So our partner feels they're hearing what we're saying that actually has to do with the situation at hand, but they're also feeling something else added in with it, and they don't like it. And I'll give you an example. Um, I was going for a walk. This was, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that. I was going for a walk, and I was sharing my walk with my sweetie via text. So we're walking along together, and we're texting and having a conversation. And he ended up making a joke, and his joke was um, it was sexual in nature, and it referred to some. I'm not going to get specific because that's not appropriate for his dignity, um, but it was something in the realm of sexual play that I don't like, and he knew that I don't like it, but he made a joke about it anyway. And I a lot of things came up for me. So, but the first thing that I did was I thought I didn't know this was happening at the time, right? So I'm giving you the full perspective in retrospect. I thought to myself, well, he's joking, so I should joke back, because if I don't joke back, then I look like a prude. Now that came from that's subconscious flotsam and jetsam from from past relationships where I was teased for taking things too seriously. And I was also teased for, or I don't know if teased is the right word, but given crap for not always being as sexually open as my partner wanted to be. And there were a lot of dynamics that led to that, that I just didn't even know how to deal with, right? Dynamics like I didn't fully trust him. I don't mean trust in terms of fidelity. I mean trust in terms of you just when you get to know somebody, you don't trust them right away necessarily. And I didn't realize how much trust I needed to really feel open in the physical intimacy department. So, and then there were also transactional pressures because he felt like he needed sex or wanted sex and cared more about that than connection. I'm talking about past relationships. So, and then there were every guy I was with would always come around to that he wants this thing that I don't even want to do, right? So that's all the history that was coming up in that moment when he made the joke. And it was the same thing that all the other guys always came around. They wanted that I didn't want to do, right? So, but I'm like, I should be joking back. So I said a joke back, but my joke was a little bit, had a little punch to it. So he thought, hey, we're still joking. So he escalates his repartee. He banters back because I joked back. So he banters back and he escalates it. And I couldn't deal with what happened next inside my psyche, because what happened next was I felt like, I do have a tremendous amount of trust with this man that I'm with now. This was probably about 2 years in. Now we're 5 years in, and things are much better than they were even then. But I had so much trust with him at that point, and the fact that he brought up this joke about this sexual thing that I don't want to do, that every guy seems to want, and I already told him I didn't want that. I felt like he was bringing up the joke because he wanted to put pressure on me that he wants to do that. And suddenly I felt like this guy that I love and trust more than anyone I've ever been with is just like everybody else, is just trying to use me to get what he needs for pleasure, and doesn't actually care about authentic connection. And I had a complete like breakdown because I couldn't handle all the subconscious stuff that was tumbling in. And I said something in response, was not a joke. I don't remember what it was, but um, his response was, well, I think he apologized first once he figured out that I wasn't okay. And but then my words were very sharp with him, because at that point I was extremely defensive, because I felt like all the trust and the love that I had opened to in this relationship was betrayed. That his true self came out, and he was just a user like everybody else that I had been with. And so he wrote back to me. I remember he said, "I feel like you're judging me. I don't normally hear this from you." And that's why I told this story, because this story is, I believe, probably more extreme than what you may be experiencing on a regular basis in your relationship. It's also more extreme than what came up for me in any of my relationships. That was a very intense moment. Um, but but his response gives a clear demonstration of what I'm talking about. That when your energy is all tangled up, when you're talking about something that you need to resolve, or something that you need, and your energy is all tangled up with subconscious issues inside you, that the weight of those extra things that don't actually have to do with your relationship right now, your partner feels them. Now, my partner had the wherewithal to actually say it out loud, that he felt like I'm judging him, and that's not normal. So, what's going on here? Extremely reasonable response. But what usually happens is your partner just gets defensive, or shuts down, or both. So that's one of the underlying dynamics that's going on with the expression of needs in relationship. Um, the other side of it, the doormat side, right? That's the control mode, or the I'm pushing my energy onto you in an aggressive or controlling, or a box you in, or I need this to happen this way kind of a way. That's the one option. The other option is doormat, where I cave in because I don't feel like I can talk about it. And so that underlying dynamic comes from feeling muddled, and feeling like I don't know what to say, or I don't feel like I have confidence in what's occurring to me to say, because it doesn't feel right. And so that can put us into a condition where we're just not able to come to the table in a way that's going to resolve things to honor our self-care. So that doesn't work either, because um, it makes us kind of like mousy, and makes it so that we can't find the ease and the joy and the naturalness inside ourselves to actually show up as a full and equal partner in the relationship. And that can be a problem in and of itself, because if you have a relationship with a worthy partner, your partner wants to feel you. Your partner wants to know you. They want to know the full you. And so when we go into doormat mode because we're afraid, maybe our people pleaser says, I can't say this because I'm afraid he's going to be upset with me. Or if we're just feeling confused inside and we can't feel like we can find the words that satisfy our standards for the quality of how we want to show up. And so we don't say anything because we just can't figure out how to get to that place. Both ways cause us to be a shadow of ourselves in the relationship. And in that way, limit the relationship's potential for blooming, becoming what it actually has the potential to become. So, in order to solve this quandary about how to reconcile self and other, and to express our needs in a healthy way, what we really need to do is to clean up the inner interference so that we can express with a clean signal. And I'm sure you've tried to do this. there are a number of things that people have tried to do to accomplish this. One thing that people try to do is they try to be very nice and calm. Like, if I'm nice about what I have to say, if I'm calm when I express it, then that means that I'm I'm having the sweet energy I want to have, right? But the truth is that control emits from your perspective. So whether you're nice or you're not nice, it's still annoying. Now, for sure, if you're expressing yourself with angry emotion, that's a whole other level of energy coming at your partner that they will feel invited to react to. But even if you are communicating with an energy that's nice and calm, it can still cause your partner to get defensive or to shut down, because your energy and your perspective will still communicate the ways in which you feel like you need your partner to be other than themselves in order to let you be yourself. That's kind of what goes on that makes that control. Another mistake that people make, and it's not really, I mean, okay, another mistake that people make is you try to talk it through with your partner, right? So it's not a mistake to try to talk it through your partner. Of course, you want to talk it through with your partner, but the pitfall that comes with it is if you're trying to lean into your partner to get your partner to help you sort out all of not just what's going on in the relationship, but also the extra subconscious stuff that's coming to the table with it, that can be way too heavy and way too stressful for your partner. They might not have the skills to even be able to parse that out. So that can be it can drag the relationship down, which means that there's great benefit to getting help to sort it out if you're not feeling like you can sort it out yourself. Getting help to sort out your subconscious stuff so that you can find how to communicate in a way that's light and present, and not actually bringing all these things from the past or from your subconscious wounds or your what you feel like you need for comfort to compensate for your subconscious wounds, all of that. Now, third mistake that people make is they go to therapy to try to work out all the subconscious stuff. And the reason that I'm saying that that's a mistake, it's kind of a bold thing to say, is because therapy as a modality does not have a reference point for what the human being is like without interference signals from the subconscious. Therapy maps out subconscious stuff based on it's like examining the cause and effect dynamics and the statistics, so to speak, of how people struggle through relationships, and then trying to optimize through conscious awareness and through molding things into a better shape. But that falls far short of what's possible. So here we come to why the way that I help people is to integrate divine love energy into the core of how they approach their relationship. Because for me, that is the only thing that actually allowed me to find the place where I can be completely myself and merge more deeply with my partner than I was even able to before I found how to be in this zone. So I'm going to give you two examples. So firstly, I want you to know that the space of connecting to divine love energy inside you is this is not woo-woo spiritual stuff. And what I mean by woo-woo spiritual stuff is it's not like something you have to believe in or a modality. It's actually an experiential thing. And I lead people through it experientially. It doesn't matter what you believe or what language you like to use, if you like to talk about chakras or if you don't like to talk about chakras. The one word that I kind of stick with all the time is divine love. If you wanted to call it something else, we could call it something else. It doesn't matter. The thing that matters is that you find the feeling of interconnection. And so that's what I guide people to find. That when you find that feeling of interconnection, that's going to have an effect on what you feel like you need in your relationship in the first place. So it might change what you even want to talk about with your partner. Here's an example. This is not an example of a relationship. This was an example that comes from the passing of a relationship. I had a short, tremendously instrumental in my growth, but our relationship was not to last. It was just for one purpose, and that happens. But towards the end of that season, he was not communicating much, and all the reasons that we had said that we were enjoying each other's company were no longer being voiced on his side. And I was feeling like, wow, this is the same old story for me, where I show up for an authentic connection, and then the guy turns out just to be interested in the physical intimacy and doesn't really care about anything else. And I felt that way even in committed relationships in the past, because that's how my partner treated the relationship. He was really concerned, much more concerned about physical intimacy, and didn't have a lot of intelligence about energetic connection. And so it's not just about that. I'm just stopping to say that dynamic of feeling like your partner has a transactional attitude, it might be situational, that they're like just here for a little while and then they leave, or it might actually be a dynamic in an extended relationship. But anyway, so I was having a moment where I was feeling really upset, feeling really used, feeling really unvalued by this guy. And I was crying from my gut. I was like, this is like, that's my core wound type of a thing. So my phone is so active today. So I was crying and crying and crying and crying in my bed. And then I realized I had already had advanced skills at this point, right? So I wouldn't expect you to do what I did next, but I would teach you how to do what I did next. I realized that I was seeing value outside myself, that my value is decided by him. And I realized that that was wrong. That was incorrect. That was inaccurate. And I said to myself, oh, I'm crazy right now. This is not the truth. And I knew what to do next. I shifted my awareness from the story of the situation and all the emotion that I was in into the core of my being, to that place, that meeting place inside where divine love energy actually comes to greet me, in this case, because it was me. And I could show you how to find this place inside yourself. So I went to the meeting place, and in a short time, divine love greeted me there. And I felt the energy of divine love fill the core of my being. And as soon as that happened, my perception completely shifted about this relationship. I was like, oh, and I wasn't trying to think differently about the relationship. This is what I'm trying to share with you. There's another place to be in your awareness where things will look different to you just because you're in that connected state, not because you've tried to change your limiting beliefs, tried to reprogram your subconscious, tried to whatever. None of that, like trying to change how you're thinking stuff. It just happens from connecting to yourself. Things look different. So I was like, oh, yeah, right. It's just a season. That relationship, I could see clearly and feel from all areas of my being that this relationship was just for a season and that the season had concluded. And I felt grateful for all the gifts that that relationship had provided to me. And I felt complete peace in myself. And it was like night and day over the course of an instant. Now, the reason it was an instant is because I already knew how to connect with divine love inside me. And I had just gone on a trip into the psychology. The ego psychology is one popular way of talking about it. So the reason I share that story is so that you have hopefully an understanding that that's what it means to clean up your signal. It's not to mold your beliefs into something that's more optimal, because even I found along my journey that I tried to do that. I tried to mold myself to have better beliefs. But I always, first of all, it felt like forcing myself to be something that I'm not. And then number two, it always sprung back to the struggle that I had. But when I found how to connect with divine love energy in the core of my being, I found a place inside my mind or my awareness that I could go where everything changed and all the pressure went away, all the shoulds went away, like they don't exist in that place. But the thing is that there's number one, there's the skill of finding that place. And then number two, there's the skill of integrating that into relationship. The other story I wanted to tell you was that I always craved deeper connection in my relationships. I always felt like the depth of intimacy that I craved in my heart was elusive, just out of reach, like just around the corner or just a few feet beyond my grasp. And I was chasing it. I was looking for it. How do I find that? What do I need to do to get the relationship? Or how do I need to show up to allow that intimacy to finally, that energetic intimacy to finally settle in, to finally become part of my experience instead of being just out of reach? When I discovered how to connect to divine love energy in the core of my being, and then on top of that, I learned how to integrate that as how I approach romantic love, so that I had divine love and romantic love together. That energetic intimacy that I was looking for, that I thought was just out of reach, became present for me. It became available for me in my romantic relationship. It also became available for me in other kinds of relationships. Now, I'm not saying that it was a romantic, had a romantic quality to it in these other relationships, but now I can actually feel the energy of a stranger when I'm having a conversation with that stranger. I can feel the energy of my friends and my family. The feeling of that intimacy being out of reach was actually the feeling of me not being able to feel, because I was in my head, because I was in my comfort zone, my little self, all of those words. I don't know which words you connect with best. But when I found how to connect with my true nature, that as a child of love, experientially, not just as an idea, but experientially, my feeling sense opened up so that I can now experience such a deeper level of intimacy with my partner that I couldn't even get to before. I just didn't have the equipment turned on. I had the equipment, but I didn't have it turned on. So there was another thing I was going to say, but now I don't remember what it was. So anyway, my experience of integrating this interconnection with divine love with romantic love, when I learned how to do that, when I learned how to actually hold that connection with divine love in the presence of someone that I really care about and want to be close with, I had to throw out all of my relationship skills. Oh, yeah, I remember what I was going to say. When I found how to connect with that divine love energy, that allowed me to feel more energetically connected, to go to a place of deeper intimacy, I lost that self-consciousness that was haunting me all the time. I found this feeling of being comfortable in my skin. I found how I can honor myself and connect deeply with my partner at the same time. I couldn't do that before because I didn't have the equipment turned on. You actually need different equipment to pull this off. So why do you struggle with how do I honor myself and how do I merge with my partner at the same time? It's because the equipment that you need to do that is not turned on. You need to open up that interconnection inside yourself that allows you to feel loved because you are love, number one, allows you to feel energy and allows you to feel how to honor yourself as you merge with your partner at the same time. It's not the part of us that we're taught to walk through life with day in and day out, just doesn't have the depth of awareness to do that. It's always because we're living from that, we'll call that the survival mind. From that survival mind, we are living through ideas of self, ideas that make us feel good. And we cannot join in ideas. We can have the same idea and then we can be next to somebody and grooving, right? But the place where we actually merge is in the realm of energy. And even in the survival mind, we can feel energy. But when we are, in order to be able to actually navigate energy, navigate energetically, that's what we need to do in order to connect with our partner while we still honor ourselves. And so that's why I teach energy flow intimacy dynamics and the energy flow intimacy method as an approach to connecting with your partner while honoring yourself so that you can navigate this zone of how do I express my needs in a healthy way. I would love to share more about this with you if you would like to know more about it. So if you do want to know more about it, then put the phrase flow intimacy in the comments and I'll reach out to you and we'll get together on Zoom and we'll talk about this in depth and how it applies to your specific situation. And otherwise, I hope you have a great day.